young man, you want to start working on becoming like stronger men. And I'm not talking about the street shit, and I ain't talking about in the gym strong and in the bravado loudest guy in the room type of strong. I'm not really talking about that, guys. I'm talking about life strong. I'm talking about life strong. And in 56 years of living, I know that I am a strong man. I know that because I've been through challenges and I've overcome them. I know that because I've, learned how to do things, and I have been in positions where I had to be strong, and I was able to come through those types of things. So I know that I have that stuff in me. I know that I am a extremely strong man. And again, it's not the, look at me, I can beat anybody's ass. It ain't that type of strength. It's the type of strength, young man, that you have to have when, no one else is looking. It's the type of strength that you have to have when you are falling down on the inside. Something has happened and it's crushing. Rather it is a death, rather it is a breakup, rather it is a loss of a job, a loss of any kind, that, you don't have time to sit and, rather it be mourn, rather it be just wallow. You ain't got time to do that, right? That you got to still keep pushing. I've been able to do that a lot in my life. Now, I would tell you guys that the only reason that I am a strong man is because I was raised by one. I was raised by a father who, by all accounts was the epitome of strength to me. And I was thinking this morning about some habits that I watched from him that I have in myself, but not nearly to the level that he had. And we talk about it, me and my friends or friends in my peer group, we talk about how we're men, but we ain't them. We ain't them dudes. Back in our father's day and our grandfathers, we ain't that dude. We are not those dudes. And granted, I believe that, each generation, gets just a little softer, as far as men goes. And a lot of that is our fault. A lot of that is our fault because, we don't want to be as hard. I mentioned this in my last video, with my son, I didn't want to be as hard on him as my father was on me, but I would tell you guys that, my father didn't give a shit about none of that. that was not his thing. And everything about my upbringing from him was the ideal of, I got to make a man out of you. I can't tell you guys how many times in my life I have heard that, whether it was from him, whether it was from other men, because I worked construction as a young man with a ton of older men, and everything was about, what? Do this. It'll make a man out of you. You know what? I know you're afraid to do this, but do it anyway. It'll make a man out of you. I know that this is hard. I know that this is going to suck, but it'll make a man out of you. They were the men back then were concerned about producing strong men. I was thinking about this morning, these habits that I seen from my father that I have that, that made him strong, that made him a strong man, that he gave to me, or that he taught me, that made me a strong man. And I want to share them with you this morning so you can begin to start working on becoming a strong man, because that is what's expected of you. That is what's expected of you. Society nowadays isn't really requiring you, or doesn't really even have the expectation for you to be a strong man. But you need to be. You absolutely need to be. If you are going to move in this world out here, if you're going to have a family, if you're going to lead people, if you're going to do this thing, you're going to have to be a strong man. And it is these habits that I want to share with you guys this morning that I saw, that was taught to me from my father. And the first habit, young man, is the ideal of, like, when I think about my father, I think about his work ethic. My father worked one full-time job and one almost full-time job from the time that I was a child. And, Young man, it wasn't as if one job was like hard and the other job was like a coast. So you can go and work your hard 8 hours and then you can just chill for 8. No, that's not what my father did. My father was a construction laborer, a concrete laborer, which is one of the hardest jobs that you would work in construction. And he did that, and then he was a dock worker at night, you know, loading freight on truck trailers. And, you know, I can't remember, man. I can't remember a time that my father like called off sick. I can't remember a time. And when I think about it, he certainly would have been justified if it was nothing more than I'm just fucking tired. I'm tired. I don't feel like going in today. He would have been justified in doing that with all the hours that he would work in a week. He would work those hours in a week, young man, then come home on the weekends and stay outside all day, maintaining his house, cutting grass, washing cars, fixing stuff around the house. My father was all go all the time. And that was his work ethic. And, you know, I would ask him years later, you know, before he passed away, like, Pop, wouldn't you be tired, man? Like, you know, working all the time. And his thing was, you know, yeah, I would be tired. But you guys needed, you and your sisters and your brother, you needed stuff. So I didn't have time to think about that, right? Y'all needed shoes. You needed clothes. You needed food. I had to go out and do this thing. So what that taught me, young man, and this is why I say, we're not that type of dude, because if I cough wrong, I'll call off if I got sick time. Like if I wake up and I just don't feel well and I'll call off. That was unheard of. And it wasn't just my father. It was all of the men of that day. They weren't missing work. Miss work? Are you serious? No, we don't miss work. I worked with guys. I work with guys even now at the post office, and they're older men, like of my father's age, maybe a little younger than my father. And they have thousands of hours of sick time accumulated because they just don't call off. They don't miss, young men. They don't miss. And that is a habit that, you know, I think it's important for you to have if you want to be a strong man. You just don't miss at stuff, especially when it comes to work. You know why I don't miss when it comes to doing these videos? And I'm actually on myself because I could be doing more. But I don't miss, young men, because what I say to myself is, if my father, and this is the strength that was taught to me, if my father can go out and work all of these jobs, work all of these hours, hard ass jobs and never miss, and you too tired to press play on a phone, you're too tired to edit your videos, you're too tired to reset, you sound like a fucking fool. No, you're not. You've done way worse than this, way more than this. So the strength that he taught me, or the strength that I saw in him to do all of this hard stuff, says to me, and it's what makes me stronger, says that I can do anything. You know, if I can do that, if he could do that for years and not miss, if I'm doing something easier, right, then why in the world would I miss? And even if it is a little bit more challenging, it's still not what they did. It's still not what I watched him do for a lifetime. So why would I miss? Why would I miss? Again, especially if it is not as difficult and as tedious as what I've seen those guys do. And again, he didn't miss, man. And because he didn't miss, you know, we didn't miss. We didn't miss meals. We didn't miss the heat being turned off or the lights being, we didn't miss, right? Their work ethic was just bar none. And that is what you have to start developing now. You can't be, I'll do it when I feel like it. I'll do it tomorrow. No, that's not the work ethic of a strong man. A strong man says, I do it even when I don't feel like it. I do it when I don't want to. I do it when it's not convenient. I do it when it's not comfortable. You don't think in all of those years that I watched my father do that thing that, you know, it was, I don't feel like doing this today. I just don't want to. I'm tired. I'm burnt out. I'm sick. He did it anyway. He did it anyway. And that's the work ethic, young man, that you want to have if you want to become a strong man. You have to do shit when you don't feel like doing it. Do it when it's not comfortable. Another thing about becoming a strong man, and that is your commitment to something. My father was committed to his family, committed to making sure that his family was taken care of. So that is the thing that pushed him into that work ethic. He was committed to something. He believed in something, and that translated into action for him. So, young man, just like me doing my content, or me and my children, or, you got to be committed to something. It's the commitment to something that will make you go beyond what it is that you think that you can't do. I worked for the railroad, and something was going on. They had messed up my time or something. And, I had I couldn't miss another day for, like 2 or 3 months, or else that would have cost me my job. This is right around the time that my wife at the time was going through some health challenges and she could not work. And so, having to, take care of all the financial responsibility of the house was, on me. And young man, I can remember, this is the dead of winter. I was sick as a dog, flu sick. Only thing I wasn't doing was throwing up, but it was terrible. And on this particular night, it was, 5 below zero. And I had to be outside the whole night of this particular night. And, fuck that job or yeah, I'm calling off. I'm sick. But guys, my commitment to my spouse at the time was that, no, I have to take care of things. She's sick. She's depending on me. I've had many of instances like that when my children were little, and they needed things. The ideal, young man, of, the commitment that I have to my wife, my kid, whatever. That is the thing that drove me in that particular instance to go into work, even though I was sick, even though it was cold, it was miserable, but I was committed. If you're going to be a strong man, young man, you have to commit to something, whether it's your family, hell, just yourself. You have to commit to something, because it's the commitment. It is the commitment that makes you do when you don't want to, right? You know what else that makes me think about? And this is just one off the top of my head while I'm talking to you guys. Suffering. If you're going to be a strong man, you're going to have to suffer. You're going to have to suffer. And I think about that in our climate now, in society today, and nobody wants to suffer. Nobody wants to suffer. Shit, that was expected of you. As a man back in my father's day, you had to suffer to take care of your family. You had to suffer to make money. You had to suffer to, do dangerous jobs, do all of this stuff to make a way for yourself. That was expected for you as a man, to get out here and suffer, to make a way for yourself and your family. And again, I watched my father do that for the better part of my life. Guys, to get off work and to come in and sit down and pop a beer, to get off work, to come in and, I'm just tired. I don't want to do shit. I'm just going to watch it. I've never seen him do that. My father would do that on a Sunday, but through the week and that, no, he had to leave one job, come in, get a quick nap, not even an hour, get up and go to the next one, get off work, go to bed, get up and start that shit all the fuck over again the next day. That's suffering. That's no time for me, no time for myself, no time to just sit and relax and chill. No, that's suffering. I watched my father, guys. I watched his fingers get caught in a conveyor belt, and like a huge construction-sized conveyor belt. My father is screaming, reverse it. Pulled his hands out. One of his fingers was fucked up. The other one was bleeding. That motherfucker worked the rest of the day suffering. Because back then, to lose a job or to leave a job, somebody else could come in and take your job. So rather than to go home or go to the hospital or do this, that, and the other, because he was committed, because of his work ethic, he stayed there. And I watched that shit. I watched that. That happens to me. Yeah, I'm going to the hospital. Forget y'all. I'm going to the hospital. But again, strong men. The ideal of embracing suffering for a greater good. I suffer, young man. And again, because I saw that, and because I was taught that, it makes my suffering is small in comparison. I would say that, I suffer every time I turn on this camera and I have to talk to you guys, because, I don't think that, I'm as good as this guy, and I may not be as articulate, and so my, I'm anxiety and fear and doubt and all of that. And that's suffering for me. So I don't want to get on camera. I don't want to do this thing. And then when I look back on what I watched my father suffer to, that's weak as fuck for me. So I turn this damn camera on because I know what real suffering looks like as a man. And I promise you, young men, that no one is asking you to suffer like that today. You don't have to. Right? Things have been made easier for you today. And many of you don't want to suffer in the least, none in the least, but it is suffering that's required to make you a stronger man. It is going to be suffering, young man. It's going to get you from one thing to another. If you believe that you are going to raise a family, have a wife, have a good job, start your business, become wealthy, and there's no suffering involved, you're kidding yourself. You're kidding yourself. And if you don't know and understand that, and that's why I'm glad that I watched that in my father. That's why I'm glad I saw what a strong man looks like when it comes to suffering. Because now that I saw that, when it comes to stuff in my life that ain't nowhere near as bad, I ain't got a problem. That ain't shit. I can handle that. It's a little uncomfortable. I can deal with that because I know what real suffering looks like. And if you're going to succeed in life as a man, if you want to have the strength that it takes to be a man out here, suffering is going to be a big piece of that. That's a habit that you're going to have to develop. Not only deal with suffering, but understand that it is a vital part of making you stronger, right? Here's another one. Here's another habit that you guys want to develop if you want to be strong men out here. You got to be useful. You got to be useful. Young man, I can fix just about anything. I can figure it out. I can look at it. I can critically think around it. If I don't know how to fix it, I can go and find out. I just know how to do shit. And I learned that from just watching my father. Those men back then, they could do anything. Like now, it's easy for me, to call a contractor. If I don't know how to do it, I'll just call somebody to fix it. Those men back in that day, they had families. They didn't have all that discretionary income laying around that they can just call somebody. No, they had to figure that shit out by themselves, right? And as a result of figuring that stuff out, they learned how to do a lot of things, right? I've watched my father fix furnaces. I've watched him do things with cars. I've watched him fix stuff around the house. And it was like, is there anything you can't do? And being older now, I know that there was plenty that he couldn't do. But you know what he didn't do? He just didn't fold his arms and say, I don't know, right? And I don't do that either. Like, I'm useful. I told you guys a few videos ago about the young lady's washer that I fixed. I've done that with cars. I've done that with homes that I didn't have the money. So what can I do? How can I figure this out, right? How can I learn how to do this? And then once I learn how to do that, that's a thing I have in my tool belt for next time. So I'm useful. I'm useful. You call me out to a situation, and if I don't know what to do, I will figure out what to do. So if you want to be strong, if you want to be a strong man, you got to be useful out here. You got to know how to do some shit. My father's favorite saying was like, hey, I can't stand a man who don't know how to do shit, don't know how to use his hands, don't know how to get dirty, don't know how to figure shit out, right? If you're going to be a strong man, you have to be useful. You just got to be useful. You got to learn how to do something. Learn how to do, learn how to change oil on a car. Learn how to change a flat fucking tire. Learn how to wire a light. You just have to learn how to do something, right? Like I said, you call me anywhere. I got an idea. And if I don't have an idea, I can call somebody and they can walk me through it. And because I've done enough, or because I've done so much stuff in my life, I can kind of understand and I can get that shit figured out, young man. I can get it figured out. So that makes me useful. It makes me useful in my home with my wife. That makes me useful to my children. That makes me useful on my job. That makes me useful in life, period, because I know how to do some shit. You want to be a strong man out here? You got to create the habit of being useful, learning how to do something. One more for you guys. One more. If you want to be a strong man out here, and I'm not saying this because I'm a Detroit Lions fan, you got to have some grit. You got to have some grit. If it's one thing that I saw and I have a good degree of, but again, nowhere like my father and the men of that generation. If it's one thing that I saw from them is they were fucking tough as nails. They had this no quit, grit, tough. There's a saying in town now, getting it out of the mud. That sounds good, but unless you've actually seen that firsthand, I think many people say it, but they don't know what it means. Like I've been in really hard, tough situations in life where it went beyond what I knew, or being useful. It went beyond work ethic. It went beyond a commitment. It just came down to fuck it. I got to do this. This has to get done, right? I can remember, guys, and again, I look back on all of this now that I'm older. I didn't realize it when it was going on. Think about my father again and how he would put me in situations that was miserable. And I think he was trying to develop that even then as a child. I can remember him hanging Christmas lights, and it was cold. It was cold. It wasn't like snow cold, but it was like 40s, 30s cold. And because he worked a lot, he was in a hurry, right? So he had to get these Christmas lights up so he can get into bed and he can. So, whenever he was outside, I had to be outside. So, come on, get out here. We got to get these lights up. And he's out there with a t-shirt and pants on, and my mom and my sisters, they're trying to put thermal underwear on me, and they're trying to, and get out here right now. I don't care what you have on, get out here. And we sat out, and I don't think I was as cold as he was, but I was cold. And it was the ideal of, yeah, I know this sucks. I know this is uncomfortable. I know you could have took some time to put on some other clothes, but there's going to come times in life where you just got to tough shit out. It just has to be about grit. It just has to get done. You don't have time to get comfortable and get everything you need in place. And you ain't got time to do all of that shit. It just has to be done. You have to have some grit. And even as a 9-10-year-old child, he was teaching that. So, young men, being a strong man is going to require that more times than many, where you're not going to have time to make it all perfect. You're not going to have time to make it perfect. You're just going to have to get out and get it. And it's going to suck. It may hurt. It may cost a loss of time or energy or whatever, but it doesn't matter. That grit in you says that, you know what, this is going to get done. And I'm going to do it, right? When you learn to do that with tough things or really hard things, then doing it with easy stuff is nothing. Doing it with easy stuff is nothing. Again, guys, I work a full-time job while I am doing my content full-time. So to come home from work after a hard day and God, I'm so tired and I know I got to get this video out or I know I got to do this thing, but I'm tired. I'll just do it tomorrow. No, because I have that grit, because I have that toughness. You know what? I'll sleep when I get done, right? Because it's nowhere near as hard as the stuff that I've had to do in my past. So when you learn toughness and the right work ethic, the commitment, the suffering, when you learn all of that with hard stuff, then it's nothing when it comes to more easier things in life, right? So, man, if you want to be a strong man in your life, then you have to develop these habits. You have to have a strong work ethic, a strong sense of commitment. You have to embrace suffering. You got to have some grit in your life. Okay. So listen, that is all I have for today, young man. Hope that helps. Hope that adds some value for you guys. Listen, all of these habits that I just described, they're a little easier for me because I had someone to teach me these things. Now, maybe you don't have that. And maybe, you recognize that you're at a place in life where you need these things, but you don't have anybody to teach them to you. Listen, I offer one-on-one coaching to you young guys who are looking to change, who are looking to level up your life. So whether it's these things or any other thing that you're struggling with, let me take my 56 years in this world of figuring this type of stuff out to help you figure out what it is that you're dealing with right now. All right. So listen, click the first link in the video description below. Let's jump on a call together, see if you qualify for the coaching and get you moving in the right direction. All right. So listen, as usual, I am the over 50 guy / the online dad. We'll be back with another one soon.